That's right. You got to check in. Today's the anniversary of the first ever Blue Jay game that you were at.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember it vividly, and I'm reminded of it often by classmates.
That's right.
My friend who I drove in with, like, remember the day we drove into the Jays game? I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember that now. I remember the game, but now that you mention it, yeah, the lead up to it was crazy. First major league game, like you're a baseball fan your whole life, and now that here they are, like right in front of your very eyes. Like this is Major League Baseball. I'm trying to think of to try to explain to someone. I don't know. I guess if you were an NBA fan when the Raptors first came to Toronto,
sure,
it would be the same thing. If you grew up back, like, oh my God, this is the NBA. These were all these stars. So there's a similarity there. But for me, for baseball, just for the idea that, Toronto is now a major league city. We had hockey. Well, so did, a bunch of other cities. But now we're, not just the Expos, because Canada, Toronto was second fiddle. Now we're like Montreal, man. We're in baseball. We're there. We made it.
We made it, Hebsy.
Looks like we made it. All right. Want me to retweet your tweet here? Hey,
yeah, retweet
beautiful,
that.
Fantastic.
I'm just setting up here, doing my thing here. Okay. Let me share this link in the DM group here. Feeling like all right. Live with Hebsy.
So it's not Good Friday. It's Great Friday.
The best Friday. The best Friday is a Friday you don't have to work. That's what I say.
Great Friday today. Join us. Hey, we'll take some questions today, maybe. You can linger today a bit if you want.
We should have teased it. Like
I'm teasing it now. What do you want to hear? I mean, what do we get? We get some people that watch this red carpet show, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I would shut
we're lacking energy. We're lacking energy.
I know. I gotta wait. Well,
okay, this is what this show is for. We got 5 minutes to get our shit together.
Okay. Well, let me tell you what happens. So I'm used to a routine on Fridays. So I get up, I get the kids ready, I get them to school, I have my coffee, then I wander down here at like 8:50 and I start this up. But today, none of that happened because no kids going to school today.
Right.
In fact, I'm waiting. Monica's going to bring me down my coffee. I stayed in bed till like much later than normal. So I don't have that routine. So it's like, yeah, I do. I need to warm up here. Let's see here.
Okay, so there's a warning to you. Warning to those of you who are on the red carpet here is that Mike's out of his routine.
Yeah, I'm off.
He's out of the routine.
I'm a man of routines, Hebsy. I like routine.
Like most of us, I would think. Why didn't you just call me and say, hey, no show? Like,
why would we?
Like, are you wanted to be the Cal Ripken of freaking podcasters here? No, I'm serious. Like, you could be on your death's bed or whatever. Like, no, man, we've got to have the podcast. It's got to.
This is Hebsy on Sports. You have to call it off. I don't call off Hebsy.
Hey, listen, I have called it off before. I'm sure there's been times where I said, look, we're not doing a show. And you're like, oh, man, I was all pumped for a show. Bummer.
Right. But yeah, who am I?
I'm right when I say that.
But who am I? Who am I to say no?
Oh, come on. Stop this. Are you? Who is me? Okay, look, you number your podcast like I do. Okay, you're up to how many? 2,000 for gosh sakes?
1230.
Like it's like every day, Cal Ripken's record, like long another, it adds to the record. Like this record, you know what I mean? So now I don't know. Like I said,
they're not in a row. I want to shout out Midtown Gord because
Midtown Gord, one of the best.
So he's here because he's not at work. I'm supposed that's.
So it doesn't matter if he's working or not today. He's a regular. He'll be here. Rain or shine, holiday or non-holiday, right?
Is he on the YouTubes? I don't think Midtown Gord. I feel like Midtown. Tell us if you're normally on. I don't.
No, that's good. Listen, we can't go one-on-one. It's unfair to the others.
Well, Paul Ante and Wayne Brown. Hello from Lethbridge. I love that message. Every Friday, I can start Hebsy on Sports when I see hello from.
And Lethbridge, that's Mountain Time Zone, dude. That's like they're 2 hours behind us. And even on a Good Friday, although some people are working today, they're doing stuff, right? There's like, I don't think there's that many people that are like, oh, this is great. I can sleep 3 hours extra. No, maybe you're another hour or so, right? The sun's up early. Your eyes are open like this. You're going,
Right. And
I don't have to do anything
for,
today, or these are the days where you're working harder than if you actually work,
right.
because there's the to-do list.
Oh.
And
Good morning,
places are
say hi.
closed. So you got to be around the house. You got to be doing stuff. We got hanging pictures. We got to rake. Nice weather's coming. It's going to be 40 degrees next week, Mike. It's going to be 100 degrees Fahrenheit next week.
Jarvis,
See that? See the weather forecast?
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted. Here, Jarvis, go on the mic and say hi to Hebsy. This one.
Hi.
Jarvis, is that you?
Oh, yeah, you can't hear. I'll put these on.
No. Jarvis, is that you?
Yes, it's me.
How old are you now? 15, 16?
I'm 8. I'm almost 9, and I'm 9 in 2 days.
No way. You look way older than that. Are you growing a mustache? What is that under there? Is that a mustache?
No.
I'm kidding with you. You know that, eh? I knew you when you were this big, Jarvis. You were this big when I knew you. You were like...
How do I watch it on YouTube?
Yeah, see
you'll watch it later. All right. So Jarvis, so this is the deal. Your dad and I have got to do like a real podcast now. So thanks for coming by. Have a real happy holiday and enjoy yourself, and have a happy Easter. I hope you find all your
Someone
Easter
said
eggs.
hi in the live chat.
All right.
Hi.
Midtown Gorb.
Yeah.
I love you.
No. So this is what the red carpet's all about, ladies and gentlemen. This is, on days where Jarvis isn't at school, like today, you get the full effect. This will not be part of the actual podcast. So this is why we have the warm-up show. Jarvis is the warm-up act, actually.
Okay.
He'll be touring in Australia probably next year with my son, really opening for him. Because he'll be 10. He'll be like 10 by then.
So his birthday's Sunday. I know he said that, but yeah.
Yeah. Happy
like
birthday.
2 days, man. Okay, let's start the show, Hebsy, man. It's 8 o'clock.
Okay, brother.
It's 9 o'clock. I'm really off my game. Okay. All right, Joel Lustig from Thornhill. Good morning from Thornhill. I know where that is.
Lustig. Okay. That's a good last name. Lustig.
All right. Wayne Brown is here. Okay. All right. Let's get this going. A good crew here today. Here, Hebsy. Oh, yeah. I start with the music. We know what's going on. Here we go, Hebsy.
Let's just let the whole song go. Look, we're not in a hurry, right? Los Lobos. Hi there, sports fans. Welcome. Hebsy on Sports, episode 328 is the Good Friday, Passover, Ramadan edition. All right? Like triple threat. Woo. Everyone is commemorating or celebrating or acknowledging, I think, just about everyone, some form of the aforementioned holidays, I guess you would say. We call them holidays, right? Good Friday's a holiday. Easter's a holiday. Passover's a holiday. Ramadan would that be considered a holiday? Because you fast, but you don't like not work. Am I right there? And you pray 5 or multiple times a day at certain times. So would it be a celebration? A holiday? Anyway, we're acknowledging all of you today because we're inclusive on the show. Unlike some people, there's one on every team, not going to wear the sticker, not going to wear the jersey, or NHL. Well, okay, that's all right because your family's in danger. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Hey, Trump got arrested, eh? Not that has anything to do with sports, but I interviewed him twice back in 83 when he was the owner of the New Jersey Generals. He was a prick then and he's a prick now. Anyway, today on the show, welcome to Hebsy on Sports. Today on the show, the Maple Leafs now know what playoff hockey is going to be like this year after running into the Boston Bruins, who, by the way, are not going to set records this year, despite what people are telling you. Most wins, most this, most that, but bullshit. Okay? Because there's a thing called the loser point, which changes everything when it comes to history. And it shouldn't, okay? It shouldn't have anything to do with it. Okay? Oh, we're going to add an extra point for the last, how many years? You're kidding? Back in the days when the Habs were steamrolling everybody, can you imagine if they had like a loser point too? Huh, they got 150 points a season. And we'll talk about that and other hockey stuff because the playoffs are starting very soon, but not as soon as the NBA playoffs. The play-in. It's not the playoffs, the play-in. The Raptors still life and death to gain a postseason berth, but they will be in the play-in. Big game tonight against Boston, and we're hoping for an Atlanta loss to Philly. I like scoreboard watching. Back in the day, scoreboard watching was different. Now, just go to your device. Get alerts. Happens like real time.
Real time.
But back then, if you wanted to know what was happening between the Atlanta Hawks and the Philadelphia 76ers. Man, are you kidding? You had to do some work. You had to be resourceful. The Toronto Blue Jays said adios to Kansas City with 3 straight wins. Does anybody know what a Dalton hat trick is? Anybody? Only Varsho and Pompey have done it in a Blue Jays uniform. Oh, yeah, there's this Masters golf tournament. Have you heard of this before? Fully underway, but the weather is expected to cause all kinds of chaos this weekend at Augusta National. And let me tell you, folks, there's nothing uglier. I don't care how beautiful Augusta National is. There's nothing worse than rain, constant rain, cold rain on a golf course. Nothing worse. Because even if you love golf, you're like, man, I ain't getting out there. I don't have a caddy holding an umbrella over my head while the wind's howling. I'm trying to negotiate the 15th at 65 yards longer now. Ugh. You notice that everybody at in the golf tournament is like, everyone's like sort of brave. Oh, you got to be brave to play Augusta National. You got to have guts. You got to have intestinal fortitude. You got to look at Tiger Woods. He's limping. Look at the man. Almost had his leg amputated. What a human being. He should be a saint, according to these broadcasters, right? And the live guys who play in the live tournament, non-existent. Didn't even mention the guy, Oh, there's so-and-so. No shot of him. We're CBS. We don't pay any. We're PGA Tour. This is CBS. Don't show those guys. Don't show them. Anyway, the weather here in Southern Ontario looks like it's going to be awesome next week. Maybe a little too awesome for early April. I'm a little worried about this, Mike. This is not the way it's supposed to be. You don't go from minus temperatures to 0 to 11, 15, 22, 27. I don't like that. I like a nice, I miss the days of it being 15 degrees. And then maybe, it's going up to 18 later this week. Oh, and then maybe in a couple weeks, it's in the low 20s. Nice, like a steady little climb. But this is no spring. We're not going to have any spring. It could be 25 degrees next week, 27 degrees.
Woo. Cooler by the lake.
For you, if you're riding a bike, I guess. But
and cooler by the lake, I'll tell you. When you're talking
cooler by the lake. That's right. That's always. Are you a 680 news weather forecaster? And cooler by the lake. That's sort of at the very end. You have to say, we reach the weather guarantee. And by the way, it's, of course, this. It's cooler by the lake. Currently 100 degrees, but cooler by the lake.
Yeah, when you're wearing shorts up there in Markham, Stouffville, wherever the heck you are now, Mr. Hebsher, I'm going to be wearing a jacket down here.
Wait, I'm broadcasting from Butler Cabin on the grounds of Augusta National.
Woo!
I'm watching the TSN guys. I'm like, these guys have got it made. Except I think they drive down. I think Bob Weeks, I know, was like, he's like, you got to drive down. It's like, guys, you want to go to the Masters? We're not flying you. Get in the car. So it's like, can I take my clubs with me? Of course. Okay, I'm going down. I'm going to sit with Duffy and Graham Dillette and we're going to shoot the breeze and we're going to, hey, there's so-and-so over there. And there's so-and-so. And I just think that's the best gig. I mean, you got to earn that gig to be able to go to Augusta National. All right. And I don't care what anyone tells you. That's not work. That is fun. That is fun. Yeah. That's a good gig. I would like to have that gig.
And always great stories too. Great stories. Just get Rod Black talking about those stories. They're amazing.
Yeah. Blackie went down there for a long time.
Yeah.
For a long time. It's funny you mentioned his name. I was thinking of all the people that, like, I'm old, man. Like, I'm too old for this business. And I'm thinking of all the different people that I saw on television, doing sportscasts, being part of the live broadcast itself, being part of the intermissions, the pregame, the postgame, the panels, the whole thing like that. And I'll bet you, I saw just on the Canadian sports networks, 150, 100 different people on air, voices here, there, panelists, who's that? All these people. I'm thinking, back in the day, there were 15 or 20, right? On the various stations.
Well, yes, you're right.
Maybe 30 or so, right? The same people. Now, like I say, when I watch Sportsnet, I watch the intermissions, I'm like, holy cow, Elliotte Friedman's on every day.
Yeah.
He's becoming overexposed. And I think he's great. But I hear him on radio. He's doing 32 Thoughts. He's on all the time, right? And I mean, the playoffs haven't even started. I mean, I hope when the season's over, he gets to just go away and grow a beard for 6 months.
Well, he will. He'll have that beard by August for sure.
Crazy. The amount of work I see that people are doing, the amount of times that they're on, different platforms doing their thing is remarkable. And certainly not like it was, back in the day.
What you should do, Hebsy, this weekend is you need to come up with that list of the 150 different faces you've seen.
Here's the problem. I'm not positive of the identity of half of them. Right? So I see a quick shot. I see, let's say, 3 women, and I'm like, oh, is that Lindsay Hamilton, Kelsey Lalonde, Claire Hanna? And I'm just throwing names out here, okay? And it's not Carol Wagland, and it's not Tessa Bonhomme, and it's not Cheryl Pounder, and I'm just sort of going over, and I'm watching Sportsnet here, and okay, I know Caroline Cameron, and but is that Jennifer Botterill? Is that's Cassie Campbell? So quick look. So now when you watch as much sports as I do, you're like, who did I see? Who was that? Who said that? Who were they with? Was it on the panel? Was it did I see the clip on Twitter? And my mind just goes in a million directions, and my head's about to explode, and I don't want to be like that. I'm
Who do you think
glad that I'm not working in the business, because it would be, the quizzes would be, how much sports do you consume? And I'm going, well, this many hours. And my boss would say, not enough.
Oh,
not
for
enough.
you, that's impossible.
You've got to know everything. You've got to know. And if you don't know something, you're going to get mocked, or someone's going to call you out on Twitter or whatever. Like, oh, geez, I didn't know that. You didn't know that. People like that, Mike. You'll say something and say, when I watched the Shawshank Redemption. Oh, I never saw the Shawshank Redemption. You never saw the Shawshank Redemption?
Right.
Like Kenny Reed does that to Ivanka Osmak. You never saw like anyone who's, it's in their top movies. It's like, how could you never have seen, you never saw The Godfather?
Who do you think's the oldest actively working face you'll see on Canadian sports media?
On Canadian sports media?
Yeah, like who's the oldest person you'll see? Like
Vic Rauter.
Yeah, I guess so. He's probably mid-60s or something, right?
Well, Vic's older than me. So Vic, I would say, is, I don't know, 67. Vic's, I don't know, 68 or 69, I'm going to say. But he was on, Vic has been on constantly for, he does the curling and he does soccer. Right. And I haven't seen him on the desk, maybe he might have filled in. He did auto racing for years. So, but like Vic's, he's the oldest, I think the longest serving, commentator on air. I'm just trying to think.
I'm putting you on the spot here, but that's what I do.
Yeah, you are. Okay. Well, let's invite the listeners. Let's invite the listeners or the viewers, those on YouTube, to chime in if they think they know. So, this is a pretty vague question, but essentially, who's been around like the longest? We're pretty sure that they're old. Austin Delaney was 72, according to CTV News. He wasn't. But, it's like, I don't know, Mike, I'm of the age where, I can look at someone and go, I'm not sure if that person age-wise is 22 or 32. Could they, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's these big gaps now where, age really doesn't matter.
I think Austin's like 61 or something like that. I think.
Yeah, it's that kind of a thing. But as you know, once you're around the 60, there's some boss there who's 45 that's going, we got to go younger.
Or cheaper.
Or cheaper, which usually means younger means cheaper. Less experience means cheaper.
A lot of people say there's ageism, and I say, I don't think it's ageism as much as it's high wageism.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. If you can fly under the radar,
right,
when it comes to the amount of money, if people are going, oh, we got to cut costs, okay, and they see your name, they're going, oh, you've been here for this many years. It's you don't have to be a genius to figure that one out, okay? When I was at Global, and I don't remember exactly how much I was making, but I know that when they looked at the numbers, they went, oh, geez Christ, we can get another anchor and another reporter and still save ourselves,
we could get a new studio.
50 grand.
50 grand, right.
And so from a business standpoint, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? If TSN and Sportsnet knows that if they keep, name off, the people that have been let go over the years. You started with Rod Black, but just think of all the people. Okay, I don't have to name them all. We know who we're talking about. People who were on for years and now aren't on. And they were all replaced by people or two people that had considerably less experience, were happy to be working in sports media in Toronto, their dream, right?
Right.
And and are in a position where, I mean, I don't know what their contractual situation is, how much they're making, or if they're on call. Like, you're going to do this and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this for digital, and you're going to do that for sportsnet.ca, and you can do that for tsn.ca, and you can do that for TSN radio. And you know what I mean? It's all accompanying, this is what you're going to do. So now you find people, look, back in the day, Mike, you had a camera person, you had an audio person, you had a field producer and a reporter. And then eventually that shrunk to 3 people. And then pretty soon the camera operator was also the editor. And then pretty soon the camera operator was also the talent. Turn the camera around. Hi, I'm your reporter and I'm your videographer, and I'm going to edit this. And then I'm going to be on the desk to introduce it to you at home.
Right.
So it's just evolved into, how much can you do for me? And I just sort of envision like someone like Elliotte Friedman all day long. He's on the phone. He's on his phone. I'm on the air with you. I'm doing Jeff Merrick's show. I'm doing 32 Thoughts. We're recording this. I'm on TV tonight. I go, whew.
He's like a teacher, though. He goes hard and then he takes a couple of months off.
As you should. And he's really good. But I mean, my worry is always like, you get stretched too thin. Right. And, like you said before, like, when he called that swimming race,
right.
Miscalled the race at the Olympics.
Ryan Lochte, right.
That's like, what caused that? Was he overworked? Did they just did they say Elliotte can handle this? He's terrific. Give him more work. Just give him more work. He's terrific. Right. He loves it. He'll never say no. Just give him more work and more responsibility. And he's got to call this radio station and that. And he's going to record this. And he's going to do and he's on every night. You're on Monday night hockey, Wednesday night hockey, Saturday night hockey. You're on the playoffs. You're on every night. See, I don't think Don Cherry was on every night back when the playoffs were on CBC. I don't think so. I don't think it was
every other night. Maybe
I think it was every other night. I don't think it was every night. I don't think he was on 30. I could be wrong, but I don't believe in the playoffs that they overexposed him or they exposed him that much. Now, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems to me that, like, especially this year in the playoffs, man, it's going to be your heavy hitters, man. This is what you pay these guys for. This is what you pay these people for. You want your best people out there and you want them on a lot. And when you've got that much time, when you're a sports network and you've got all the time in the world to cover this, all the time in the world, you're going to be leaning on these people. It's like those 6-hour pregame shows for the Grey Cup. It's it's a one-off, right? It's Grey Cup. Yeah. Well, guess what? It's like that every night now. It's going to be like that every night.
How badly do you think the Sportsnet people, how badly are they hoping that there's a long Leafs run? I mean, when they got this big deal for whatever, 12-year, $5 billion.
Always. It's money.
Big money.
Are you kidding me? If the Leafs get 2 rounds in, they make their money back. I think. But again, I think nowadays, more so than just the TV ratings and what you can charge, advertisers for the time, you just got, with streaming and with, I don't know, everything else. I don't know how much more revenue, but I got to believe that, the longer the Leafs are, just in concession sales alone, the longer the Leafs are in it, just the more
the viewership would be. It's like different from 1 million and 5 million, right? Like,
but even just the social media posts and just everything to do with it, and the logo and apparel, and oh my God, it was just, maybe it's incalculable to me. I don't look these things over. Someone like Adam Seaborn probably would be able to say, if the Leafs can get this much, they could charge this much for ads, and then this much more in concessions, and et cetera, et cetera. It's mind boggling how much money can be made. I'm going to talk about how much money the Masters makes actually in a couple of minutes.
Okay. So just quickly, because we asked your fanatics on your YouTube channel about the oldest person in Canadian media, but one guess from Craig Miller is he thinks it's Joe Bowen. Is Joe Bowen older than Vic Rauter?
Yeah, but I guess so. Yeah, Joe. But again, Joe works the hockey season, and I don't know. Yeah, from an age standpoint, he would. Yeah, for sure, he would for sure qualify the same way. I guess so.
And then one more thing,
Joe's been doing it since the early '80s,
right?
And he's done it every season. It's now there hasn't been on a season. Whenever there's a Leaf season, Joe's been doing the play-by-play in some way, shape, or form, TV, radio, both, the whole deal like that. Yeah, so I would say, he's certainly right up there. No doubt.
Joel Lustig wants to know about your hat. Can you just tell us?
Oh, sure. That's a Tottenham Hotspurs hat. Yeah, Spurs. I'm a Spurs fan. I'm a Spurs fan, and I'm a Maple Leafs fan. So if you understand either team, you'll understand that if you're a fan of both, you're like doubly cursed. Spurs haven't won any kind of a trophy, since the era of the small potato. Maple Leafs haven't won the Stanley Cup, as you know, in 57 years now, 56 years now. It's just mind-boggling, right? And so to follow a team for that many years and not see a championship is just, I'm a masochist. I'm wearing a hat too. I got my Spurs underwear on.
His son is a huge Newcastle fan.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
Get off the
right
YouTube
off.
block.
Get out of here. Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up. I'm not bringing it up on the show because I don't want to burden you with my fanaticism of Tottenham Hotspur. But, Mr. Lustig from Thornhill decided he was going to bring it up. And then little Jabberino because he's a Newcastle fan. Okay.
All right. This is like a bonus red carpet. I feel like this is like we're all warming up here on a Friday morning.
Well, this is what we want. This is, look, every Ramadan we go nuts on this show, right? We don't eat for a while and we go fucking crazy.
All right. Ready to go.
This is also what happens if you don't eat bread for a few days, like in Passover.
Yeah, happy Passover to you. Happy Passover, Hebsy. My apologies. All these
don't apologize.
Flying around.
You're like, oh, fuck, is it another Jewish holiday? Jesus. Which one's this again?
Well, I also don't.
Was this the one with the candles?
I don't care for the Christian holidays either, so it's
No, but is this the one with the candles? Or is this the one where you don't eat? Or is this the one where you eat but you can't eat bread? Right. Is this the one with the fruit? Which one? I
always like to know if it's a happy one or a sad one. That's always what I mention. Like, this is a happy one.
Well, that's why people are afraid to go, do I say happy Ramadan? Is it Merry Happy Christmas?
You don't go happy Good Friday, right? Because it's like that's the day that their savior died on the cross,
happy
right?
Yom Kippur, everybody. Now we fast for 24 hours to cleanse our sins. So, to put a happy in front of everything like that, like Happy Arbor Day, happy...
Happy remembering.
Casual Friday, whatever. Okay. Just happy to be alive, I guess. Anyway. So where was I, Mike? As
a Toronto sports
commentator.
Oh, you're talking about that. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm dying. I'm just sitting here patiently waiting.
Well, ask me. What did you want? What did you want to ask me? Is there something else you want to ask me before I get started? Before I get rolling here?
I want you to do your thing. There's so much going on right now. Like, for example, my passions right now is I'm kind of getting jazzed up for the Maple Leaf playoff season. There's this Raptors play-in thing going on. I'm also excited Blue Jay baseball is back, and that we, after a little rough stumble off the top, we're back.
We're not going to talk about any of that today. Okay? None of that's important today. There's only one thing that's important today.
Masters.
I'm kidding. Look, as a Toronto sports commentator for nearly 5 decades, I know what are you talking about? Well, I started in the 70s, 80s, 90s, aughts, teens, 20s. What's that? This time of year makes me nervous. It fills me with trepidation, Mike. And it always has to do with the Maple Leafs, always, and the fear that they'll somehow find a way to keep that 56-year Stanley Cup drought alive. And we all know in the backs of our minds, if it could be done, the Leafs will probably find a way to do it. It's just been the history of that team. It's got nothing to do with Mitch Marner. He wasn't around for all that. And Austin, they weren't around for all of it. Well, some of it, a little bit of it, but not all of it. And they don't know. They haven't been around for as long as I have. Making the playoffs means nothing. And quite frankly, even winning a round over the aging, brittle Tampa Bay Lightning might not be enough. Oh, it'll be nice for a while. Hoo-hoo, we won a round. Yip-de-doo. We used to make fun of Montreal Canadiens fans when they won a round, saying, yeah, you guys won all those Stanley Cups. Now you're getting excited over winning one round.
Right.
But we're jealous because we haven't won a round since Jesus wore short pants. But last night, it was a playoff game, right? NHL's best team, Boston Bruins, battled into a 60-minute standoff before losing in overtime 2-1 on a goal by David Pastrnak. The Bruins are the NHL's best team. Are they just as good as advertised? Because they won their 61st game of the year last night, which ties the NHL record of wins set by Detroit in 95-96 and tied by the Lightning in 2018-2019. But remember, today, these are the days of what they call the loser point. The loser point means that you just get yourself to overtime and you're guaranteed a point, right? And then if you lose the game in overtime, yeah, you lost the game, but you got a point. Kind of like rewarding participants with participation ribbons instead of, gold, silver, bronze. Hey, here's a medal. Here's a little trophy for participating. You made it to overtime. Here's a point. Folks, back when the Montreal Canadiens were winning Stanley Cups in the 70s, they won 59 games or 60 games in a season. But there were regulation ties after 60 minutes. It's a tie. In fact, the year that the Habs won 60 games, they tied 12 games. Tied. So let's just say that they would have won 6 of those 12 games of overtime. 50% of them. Okay. And I don't think I'm stretching too much considering they were an amazing team.
Right.
Okay. Think about that. So that's 6 more points. Mm-hmm. All right. That's how many more wins? That's 6 more wins. So maybe the Habs would have ended up with 66 wins or 68 wins, maybe even 70 wins if they tied 12 games that went into overtime. Right? So let's compare apples with apples. The Boston Bruins are not the best team of all time. Even if they win 2 more games, they're not the best team of all time. They're just not. Okay? And there's no way you can configure it any other way. It's like when these baseball announcers say, Jim Thome has more postseason home runs than Mickey Mantle. Fucking Mickey Mantle, the only postseason he ever played in was the World Series. If they didn't get to the World Series, that was it. The most games he could play, the most postseason games he could play in any one year was 7. 7. Okay? Freaking Jim Thome, when he played wild card, division series, championship series, world, freaking guy played 26 games one year. So how can you possibly compare when you're saying most postseason home runs? There's got to be some kind of an asterisk. There has to be something to account for. There's got to be, what do we call it, Mike? Oh, context.
Right.
So these announcers and these producers were saying, just shove these stats down people's throats. Don't give them context. Just give them the stat, right? If I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan from that time, I played for Montreal, I'm going like this, fuck you. We were way better and we can prove it. Okay. We didn't have the opportunity to play 3-on-3. Can you imagine the Habs of the 70s playing 3-on-3 overtime? Mike, how many games would they really lose in overtime 3-on-3? Now Lafleur, Robinson, there's Shot. Now it's back to Lapointe over to Savard. Now there's Lemaire. Are you fucking kidding me? The year that they tied 12 games, they probably would have won 10 of the 12 in overtime. And that's giving the opposition more credit. They would add 150 fucking points. So fuck right off with all this, you announcers. Give me context, please. They lost 8 games all season, Mike, and then 10 games the following year.
Wow.
I mean, come on.
Wow.
Loser point. And meanwhile, the Tampa Bay Lightning looked awful this week. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm getting excited as a Leaf fan going, we can beat these guys now. They got blown out by the Rangers on Wednesday with Vasilevsky in goal. Like beaten up too, like some serious hitting and some scraps going on, some good scraps. At the end of the season, I don't mind the scraps because teams are literally fighting for a playoff spot, right? Like right. A scrap in January, yeah, okay, fine. But now it's like, oh man, we got 3 games left and we got to freaking win, so I'll kill you. So Tampa, get beaten by the Islanders last night, smacked pretty good. And I'm thinking maybe we take these guys out and maybe, and the way they played against Boston, maybe, I don't know. By the way, I apologize. Last week, for some reason, I couldn't read my own writing, but I thought that the Leafs were at home the same night that the Jays, like next Tuesday when the Jays are at home. And in fact, the Leafs aren't. They're in Tampa because they're playing in Florida, in South Florida on Monday, and then they're playing in Tampa on Tuesday. That's it. So I screwed that one up. So,
you've issued your official correction now, for the record.
That's 2 apologies in the last 2 shows. I'm losing it, man. I'm losing it. By the way, speaking of the sportscasters, of the 150 different sportscasters, panelists, analysts, sidekicks, hosts, bankers, whatever that I saw, voiceover announcers over the last weekend watching TSN and Sportsnet and all their subsidiaries, by the way. Because, when you watch City or you watch CFTO, or you still get those people on from the, on the over-the-air stations too. Right? And I'm flipping through my TV. I got Hazel Mays doing commercials for Voltanen. Like, I get aches and pains. I'm standing on my high heels all goddamn day long, interviewing Vladdy Guerrero. I'm getting dunked by Gatorade, man. I need Voltaren. It's omnipresent. Where was I here? Yeah. The Leaf game's in Tampa next Tuesday. So so they're hosting Montreal tomorrow, Leafs Montreal tomorrow. At the, what do they call it? The friendly confines? to know who did that. I got to know who the producer was. Yeah, just say friendly confine. And people are going, oh, well, Joe Bowen has used that before. I'm going, yeah, not really. I mean, and not when referring to the Scotiabank Arena. He hasn't. He might have said it once at Maple Leaf Gardens, back in the 80s. I don't know, but no. Friendly confines is Wrigley Field.
Always.
Yeah, Leafs at home to Montreal tomorrow, then in South Florida Monday, then in Tampa Tuesday. And by the way, those sportscasters who continue to say that the Leafs have made the playoffs 7 years in a row, stop reading the propaganda that comes out from the National Hockey League and the Toronto Maple Leafs publicity department. Could you please have an original thought? Look it up. They weren't in the playoffs in 2020. They weren't. That's not the playoffs. They lost to a play-in to Columbus. It's not the postseason. It's not the playoffs, no matter how you slice it. So fuck off with that. Stop it. Have an original thought. Oh, I can't. I work for Rogers, and Rogers is a part owner, and I can't do that because then it would be taking away from the statistics that we're trying to prove today. No. Have an original thought. Listen to this
Is that
show.
just laziness,
I'll straighten you out, but don't listen to these people going, and the Maple Leafs have made the postseason 7 years in a row. No, they haven't.
Is that just laziness? Like, it's just, this is handed to you and it's easier to just copy and paste.
It's laziness, and it's also, let's not rock the company boat, because I could be the next one to get the tap on the shoulder. You know what that means, Mike? The tap on the shoulder.
I do.
Manager wants to see you in his office and bring your playbook. That's an NFL. That's a football thing. But it's like that tap on the shoulder, that, uh-oh. So I don't want to do anything that would give my boss or his boss or the bean counters any reason to go, we heard what you said. Can't say that. Sorry. Gone. That's scary.
Can you blame him, though?
Especially if you've been around for a while. You're in your 50s, let's say, and you're looking over your shoulder going, my friend just lost his job. That person was in the business for this many years. That person said that. That person tweeted that. That person, they had a picture taken with so-and-so. That referee had a picture taken with a player, and all this suspicion. Add the gambling aspect to it now. The fact that everybody can gamble and bet on the games. The player, I'm surprised they haven't come up with a player yet going, yep, when I'm on the ice, hi, I'm Steve Stamkos. When I'm on the ice, I'm always betting for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Did you see the odds we had the other night against the Rangers? Like, how long before that happens? Like, it's pretty obvious that if you thought your team could beat another team and you were a betting person and you could do it legally, why not? Why the hell not?
Can you,
by the same token, if your team is injured and you guys are hurting and all that, and you're like, we're never going to beat these guys. You're telling me that if your friend goes, really, you don't think you can? Well, I don't think we can. Maybe I'll make a bet on the other team.
Quick question here, Hebsy. Do you blame any sports media personality in this country who is worried about, the target on their back and losing their livelihood? Like, do you blame them for a second?
No, I can't blame them for a second. I just think as the viewer, as the consumer of media, we're not being served. We're really not being well served. Probably the best example of that is this row with 60 Minutes last week. Like, how could you go from being the bastion of journalism to allowing Marjorie Taylor Greene on and not having the questions from Leslie? So it was a huge deal. It's like we're being let down. It's like the stuff that we're consuming, where we used to trust people who were telling us these things. We're trusting people to tell us that Tiger Woods almost had his leg amputated. He did? Yes, he did. Believe me. From now on, you're going to watch Tiger Woods and you're going to go, look at that man. See that limp? He almost had his leg amputated. Folks, he didn't. He did not. There is no doctor anywhere, okay? Anywhere that said at any time that he could have lost his leg. This was Tiger saying, oh, I could have lost my leg. You could have? Really, Tiger? Tell us more. He didn't. Every medical journal I read, every single comment was, no, that type of injury, no. And whoever's telling you that's bullshit. So
you do have somebody on your YouTube who looks forward to your, I think ironically so, looks forward to you shitting on Tiger Woods every chance you get. Like, this is like the Tiger.
You know what's going to happen with Tiger. We all know what's going to happen. He's already said this. Well, it's me.
Oh, Craig Miller. It's Craig Miller.
Tiger, do you think this might be your last? Well, it could be. See, this is beautiful because they're setting you up to go, yeah, I don't think I can do this anymore. And then, of course, Tiger goes out and shoots 66. And people are like, oh my God, it's a miracle. He's walking and he shot a 66. It's a miracle. He said he didn't think, he said he almost had his leg amputated and he could barely walk. And now he can hit a golf ball, and he can hit a golf ball straight. And now he can hit a golf ball better than anybody. Oh my God, it's Tiger Woods. Like, come on. He's the drama queen of all time. It's the guy that walks off the golf course if he's not going to play well.
Tiger versus Bianca. Who's the bigger drama queen in your opinion?
Well, Tiger's a much bigger drama queen because he's had more experience, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's people like this. There's all kinds of them. These are like the soccer players that do dives. Like, that's the expression drama queen is, there's a penalty in soccer for simulation. It's when you pretend that got pulled down or dragged down or injured, and when you didn't, and that's a penalty.
Down like you were shot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a penalty. Okay. It's unsportsmanlike.
It's my least favorite part of soccer. The beautiful game is that.
It's unsportsmanlike, right, Mike? It's like you go, oh, that's unsportsmanlike. Let's play the game within the rules. But it's gamesmanship, but people do that. I mean, there's all different ways of calling it. Trash talking, all that stuff. As an aside, did I tell you the story that when I interviewed Seve Ballesteros many years ago, and I asked him about, he was in a match, when you play match play, Mike, right? In match play, when it's just you against the other person, right, in that hole. And if, let's say you make a birdie putt, right? Or let's say you've got you cozy your putt up and it's a foot away. Okay. The other player can say, just pick it up, right? You don't have to putt it. I'm going to give you that putt. I know you're going to make that putt, right? Well, what Seve used to do was a guy would leave it, let's say 4 or 5 feet short, and Seve would give him the putt. And you go, well, what are you doing? Make him putt that. If he misses, you're going to win the hole. Seve would give him the putt, a 4-footer or a 3-footer, a little tricky one. He'd give him the putt, right? And the rule is not the rule, but the thing is this: if I give you the putt, don't putt it. I've given it to you, just pick it up. And then the guy says, just pick it up. And so after about 10 holes, this guy that Seve's playing against, this guy hasn't had to make a putt. Everything that's nearby, Seve's given it to him. Now in the 17th hole, right? This guy's got a 2-footer downhill. And it's a big putt, and Seve doesn't give it to him. He's going to make him putt this putt. Right? He's going to make him putt it.
Right.
And this guy hasn't had a putt all day. He doesn't know the greens. He's been picking up the putts, and he misses the putt. And afterwards, a reporter had said to him, and he was, talking about this after, he says, well, why did you do that? He goes, because he says, it doesn't matter to me early on. It makes no difference to me if he probably would have made it. Yeah, he might have missed those early putts, but, no big deal. But I want to get him later when he has no feel for the greens at all, where he wasn't in any condition, right? And now go ahead and try to make that tough putt at a pressure type point. And I thought about that, and that's gamesmanship, man. Like, that is real reverse psychology gamesmanship, but I guess all's fair in love and war and competition, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
of course.
So if you can gain a competitive edge by pretending you're injured or prolonging a thing like that, or saying in advance, oh, I don't think I have any chance of winning. I'll be lucky if I can walk the golf course. I mean, that's a beautiful thing to be able to do. Why would anyone not trust you? Why would anyone say, oh, I think he's full of shit. I think he's just playing games. This is all bullshit. We know the way people are. Human beings, if someone asks you in advance of something, says, what do you think's going to happen? What are you this? What are you going to that? What's the guy going to say? Come on. Oh, do you think you can win? How about this? Do you think you can win the tournament this week, Tiger? It's either going to be, why would I play? Why else would I play unless I can win? But now it's like, well, I'll be happy just to be able to, I'm thrilled to be here and to be able to finish. What kind of a narrative is that going to set up? It's beautiful. All right. What was I saying? Yeah, the Leafs have not made the playoffs 7 years in a row. So don't believe anyone that tells you that. They're lying. Meanwhile, the Winnipeg Jets and Calgary Flames. Okay, Canada, maybe, Rogers Sportsnet is like, hey, maybe, one of these two is going to get in, so we'll have something. But who gives a shit? No one's going to be watching that, when the Leafs are on. No one cares as much. But still, it's exciting stuff. This is what, you play 82 games for this. By game 79, now these games are super meaningful. It comes down to the end of the schedule. And, Winnipeg choked and gagged on Calgary the other night. Calgary beat them in Winnipeg, after losing the night before to Chicago. So the Flames and Jets are tied, but both teams have 89 points, but the Jets have a game in hand. And then the East, you got the Panthers and Islanders, each with 89 points, and they've got the 2 wildcard spots, and Pittsburgh is 1 point behind them. The Pittsburgh on the outside looking in. All teams have 3 games remaining. It's going to be a very exciting final weekend in the National Hockey League and the NBA too. because the NBA season ends Sunday, and you got the Raptors. They're one game back of Atlanta for 8th place, which means they would play in the 7-8 game. Atlanta would play Miami in the 7-8 game. So what you got right now is you got the Raptors likely hosting the play-in game against Chicago next Tuesday. No, can it be next Tuesday? Because that's the night of the Jays opener. Or would it be Wednesday? I think it might be Tuesday. I think that's when it starts.
Get it right, Hebsy. Your reputation.
I think the 9-10 game is Tuesday. I think the 9-10 game is Tuesday. The 7-8 game is Wednesday. And then, or something like that. Anyway, I'm not sure. I know they're selling tickets. I don't think they have the date. But if it's Tuesday, it's going to be wild because the Jays opener is Tuesday. Anyway. Crazy. So the Raptors are going to play at Milwaukee on Sunday. And then likely hosting the Bulls unless they can win their last 2 games and Atlanta loses their last 2 games. Then we would play Miami for the 7-8 game. So Atlanta's got Philadelphia today, and they got Boston, and the Raptors have who do the Raptors have tonight? Oh, Boston. They're in Boston again. Yeah, this week they had 2 games in Charlotte, won them both, and now they got 2 games in Boston. They lost the other night, and they've got another one tonight.
Okay.
I'm a little bit concerned about Nick Nurse, Mike. There's a lot of the comments lately have been kind of like, when the season's over, I'm going to reevaluate. The Raptors have not offered him a contract extension. He's been with the organization 10 years. Looks a little burned out. This season looks like it's really taken its toll on him. And it's almost like they're talking about, even if we get in the playoffs, we're not going to do anything. And I'm looking at this going, I don't know. Everyone is saying that the team is in disarray, that with all the talent they have, they should be better. They're going to be a 500 team, either right on or just under. I don't know, man. It's tough to get a handle on this, but it just doesn't seem to me that they're not showing any outward confidence of just get us in the playoffs and if we win that we'll be fine and we think we can beat Boston or we think we can beat Milwaukee. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe he's already gone to Houston or whatever. Like maybe he's already checked out. Nick Nurse, I mean.
I don't know. Tough one. I like Nick Nurse. And I think he's a good coach. But I guess like anything else, you can only be at some place so long. And it's almost like we're resigned to the fact that, we'll get the play in. Maybe we'll get the 8th seed. Who knows? But not a great season.
And also, he's one of those interesting, coaches where he got the chip right off the bat, right? Like, he's like Yager, right? He got his Stanley Cup rings right away.
Well, he was an assistant. No, he was on Dwayne Casey's staff as an assistant.
I know,
right?
but as a head coach, I mean, so he gets his ring, and then now he can I think he probably wants to end up in the States with a lucrative deal somewhere.
I wouldn't be surprised, and he's served us well. Winningest all-time coach of the Raptors, right? I think.
I heard.
Right?
Are you in line to be the next head coach of the Toronto Raptors?
Oh my God, you could not pay me enough to be a coach. I mean, talk about 24/7. Think of someone who's obsessed as a fan. Think of how obsessed you have to be and attention to detail if you're the head coach. Are you kidding me, man? I mean, you're literally eating, sleeping, shitting. Everything is about your team. Like, how could you have an outside life when unless your boss says, don't worry so much about winning. Take it easy. Spend time with your family. And I don't know too many bosses like that. We need you to work harder. I don't know about you, Mike, because you work in a different type of industry, but you're working your ass off up until a certain age.
Right.
And then at a certain age, it's like, no, you don't have to work as
What age
hard.
is that? I just want to write it down.
I don't know. Again, wherever you're comfortable being able to say, I think I can relax and take some. Look, for my dad, it wasn't until he was in his, I would say, late 40s. Where it was like, look, man, you got to take some time off and enjoy life, smell the flowers, But before that, he never would take vacation, right? Work, and, make hay while the sun shines, that type of thing.
Right.
Anyway, this is from someone who's retired. I'm very comfortable with my.
So that's now.
I don't have to go to work. I don't have to work, and I don't have to work for jerks.
Because Hebsy, since this is going to be a long episode, anyways, I know that in the past you've talked about like how. You got an interesting call last night, and it sounded like there were there was flirtations with actually getting back in it and having a mainstream media job. But
never, no,
because you kind of teased us with something about a year ago or so.
Yeah, it's true. There was something, but again, it's who. Here's the other thing: how many times has someone, let's say you agree to take a job and this is the person that hired you. And within a certain amount of time, that person that hired you is gone. They're either moved somewhere else in the company or they took a better job somewhere or whatever. And if this happens enough to you or people that you understand the way the system works. You understand that the program director that hired you for this job, well-paying job, and you can have all this freedom and this and that. You're going to do this and travel and all kinds of things and everything. And now that person's gone. A new company took over ownership of the company that you're working for. Big corporate takeover. They brought in their people. They moved out the people that you like. And now the people that they brought in, they look at you and go, who are you? We didn't hire you. You're not part of our plans. We have a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan, or whatever plan. You're not part of it. Off you go. And you go work for another company. And the person that hires you, they like you. Friends of yours. You've been friends for years. I'll give you an example, Mike. 2 guys that you've had on the show. Well, 1 for sure. Buddies, pals, best men at each other's weddings. I'll hire you. You hire me. It'll be great. Fabulous. Oh, wait a second. New owners. They don't like you. They don't like me. What are we going to do now? Uh-oh. Let's get out of here. Who's left?
Have you named these guys yet?
No, you know who I'm talking about. You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Does it rhyme with Bumble?
Yeah. Hey, Rogers deal, billions.
Oh,
okay. And his buddy from that side over
Right.
there. And they were buddies together. They grew up together on the other side of the tracks. Blah, 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 blah.
Gotcha.
You just never know. You don't know. There's no, job security. You better have an airtight, contract. And even if you do, you better get it looked over by the best lawyers because some way they'll find a way. So they'll find a way to off you go.
So
Lisa
how
LaFlamme? Lisa LaFlamme? Oh, you were
Right.
good. Oh, yeah. See ya. Wait, hold it a second.
Right.
What did I do wrong? Is she not lying in bed going, what was it? What was it? Someone personally didn't like my hair? What the fuck was it? Who needs that?
But
I don't
one thing I'll say, just because, again, I'm in a holiday mode here, but it seems to me like that core group of TSN guys are just there forever. Like, I feel like at this point with Duthie and even Mackenzie, who's partially retired, but he comes back all the time, and Dreger, and like Gino Retta's still there. Rod Smith is there.
Well, I mentioned Vic Router.
Like,
people
there's a
they
core
hired.
group. They're stable.
Yes,
Like, they've been there for decades.
Absolutely.
But they're not
Now-
working for peanuts. Well, I don't know what they're making, but
No, they're not. But again, these are the people that were told when Rogers got that huge deal, that 12-year deal. These were people that were told, and I think there's only one of them that I can think of. Randorf would have been, the only one that really went from TSN over to Rogers on that switch, right? Just about everybody else stayed.
Right.
Yeah. And some went the other way. Mike Johnson went the other way, ended up going over to TSN. Good move for him. But no, you're right. But TSN's been around longer.
Okay.
Much longer. TSN had a 15-year head start on Sportsnet. 15 years.
Yeah.
And how many of the people that started there, and even the ones that took over before Sportsnet started, even people that started in the 90s, 30 years ago. Think about that. They started in the 90s. They weren't part of the original gang. Some of them are almost, but
Yeah.
head start. And in that time
say,
period, it was owned by CTV, then it was owned by Rogers, right? And then who were the faces of Sportsnet? Who were the one, like you just mentioned, Duthie and Drager and Mackenzie and the people that have been there for a long time, right? The Vic Routers, so whatever the sport is, except for baseball. I'll take every sport except for baseball because that's owned by Jays is all Rogers, but
Right.
except for baseball, TSN handles all the other sports extremely well with capable producers, hosts, reporters.
Yep.
I find at TSN, fewer people who sort of just came out of college. Most of them have worked in other media outlets before, from what I can tell. Whereas at Sportsnet, it's like, oh, you got a pulse? Come on, we'll put you on TV.
But just for the record, Sportsnet's not a upstart just showed up. It's 25 years old now. 25.
Oh, I know. I was there at the beginning.
I know.
I was there when it was owned by CTV.
Right.
And I told you, I used to see all the TSN people in the makeup room, the lunchroom. I used to have dinner with Lloyd Robertson and Dave Duvall every night. Saw all these guys.
Wow.
I used to walk by them in the hallways.
Right.
They had a little indoor bridge that went from, where Sportsnet was at the north end of the complex. And it's sort of you could go outside, but there was this sort of indoor bridge that you could walk. And then you're into the main CFTO, Bayton Broadcasting, CTV,
Right.
all that stuff. You've seen them all. It was the oddest, weirdest thing. And then it was bought by Rogers. And it was like, okay, you guys, you can't be owning Sportsnet and TSN. So you have to divest yourself.
Right.
That was back in 1999. Yeah. Crazy. All right. 48 minutes into the show. Let's talk baseball.
Good.
And I know some of you were worried. You're worried that the Blue Jays might come home from their road trip and to the brand new Rogers Center at like 1-9. Like when they lost that first game of the series to Kansas City on Monday, we're like, oh my God, we're 1-3. Oh my God. What if we're 1-9 on this road trip and we come home and nobody's there? Not to worry. Come on. We've got some talent on this team. Toronto reeled off 3 straight wins over the lowly Royals. And I mean lowly. I think the Buffalo Bisons could beat the Royals. And the fans got a good look at the newcomers in action, eh? Kevin Kiermaier, who killed us for years with Tampa. He's one of us now. Speed, defense, aggressive base running. That double yesterday, beautiful. Ditto for Dalton Varsho, who the other night pulled off a rare baseball hat trick. Mike, did you hear about this?
Only from you on Twitter.
Yeah, he threw out a runner from left field, threw out at the plate. Okay, outfield assist. And then he hit a home run, or did he hit the home run first? Anyway, hit a home run and delivered a perfect bunt single. A drag bunt at that, all in the same game. And I wondered aloud on Twitter, it asked Blue Jays statistician Scott Carson, friend of Hebsy, friend of Toronto Mike.
FO. No, not actually. Never been on Toronto Mike, but has been on Hebsy on Sports.
Well, he should be on Toronto Mike.
I agree.
Anyway, I asked Scott Carson on Twitter, has anyone ever done this for the Blue Jays before? An outfield assist, a home run, and a bunt single? The answer is yes, another Dalton. Dalton Pompey in 2015. So the Dalton hat trick, ladies and gentlemen, now means the Dalton hat trick, kind of like a Gordie Howe hat trick, but the Dalton hat trick is outfield assist, right? Home run, bunt single.
What are the odds they'd both be Daltons?
Incredible.
Can you name a third Blue Jay named Dalton?
I cannot.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
Shut it down right now. We're never going to top that.
I think it was Kevin Glue from Canadian baseball. Kevin, I think, was the one that came up with the Dalton, and he put the U in brackets, DA, and then U in brackets, LTON, because they're spelled differently. Cool,
eh? Okay. Yeah, very
cool. Go. The Dalton hat trick is Pompey and Varsho.
Wow.
Anyway, listen to this. Kevin Gausman, Alek Manoah, Yusei Kikuchi, Chris Bassett, and even Jose Barrios. Look, those 5, that looks like a decent starting rotation. I know that Barrios has got to get his act together. The bullpen had a few hiccups early, but looks pretty solid, especially with Eric Swanson now helping out Romano and Yimi Garcia in the late innings. Pretty good. Pretty good. The Jays begin a 3-game set with the Angels tonight, but they won't see Shohei Ohtani. At least they won't see him as a pitcher. Certainly going to see him as a hitter. He's going to drive him crazy, him and Trout. But Ohtani pitched and won the other night, Wednesday night, so he's not facing the Jays. We've got Bassett going tonight. We got, is it Barrios or Barrios? Shit, it's going to happen all the time.
Barrios, because Keegan Matheson said it 10 times down here, and I took
Barrios. Yeah,
like
Cheerios,
it's like bear. Like, it's a bear.
No, I didn't mean that. It was Barrios or Barrios. It's Barrios. And then Kikuchi, you say Kikichi, and I say Kikuchi. You say Velici, and I say Velucci, Kikuchi. Sunday.
Do you want to talk about Bassett's first start, though, and how horrible that is for your debut on a team? Like, can you imagine, do you remember a worse debut as a starting pitcher in Blue Jay history?
A worst debut?
Like if I remember correctly, and I was watching it live, but like it was like 4-0 before he got an out or something like that. It was just like a dreadful start to his Blue Jays.
Well, listen, he decided he wanted to call his own pitches, and I told you when the Jays acquired him, the games that he pitched in were longer than any other pitcher in baseball, over 3 hours.
Yeah.
So he was used to being a 3-hour pitcher, and this was taking signs from the catcher. Now he's calling his own pitches. He ain't got fucking time to shit and whine. He just doesn't know what to do. So he didn't have a rhythm. And I usually, the same with Manoah, first start of the year, whether it's your new team or not, you're pumped, you're amped, you're whatever, you can't find the plate. I've seen worse. No big deal. He'll be fine. All right. You can't go by just one outing. Although we're keeping a very close eye on Barrios, very close eye, because he's been shit.
Right. It's been.
And remember, unlike the Royals, okay, these Angels have got some pop. They can hit. The Royals are terrible. Should have won all 4.
Right.
Okay, Mike. So next Tuesday is the home opener at the newly renovated Rogers Center. And the Jays, and I thought this was very strange. Rather than wait to unveil all of this when the team was on the field, right, for the game and the atmosphere, packed place, new stadium, they opened it up to the media and I guess some fans. I don't know how that worked, but like, come on, take a look at the empty Rogers Center and look at our new beer garden. Look at the metal bleachers that overlook the bullpen, and it's just going to be a drunk fest. We expect young people drinking heavily, 5 different beer gardens. There's Hazel May interviewing Mark Shapiro. Okay, Mark, so tell us about this year. You must be so excited for 2023. I mean, the fans can hardly wait. And I'm thinking it's going to be like, well, yeah, look at this lineup we've got and, the depth we've got. And he's fucking talking about the lineup he's talking about are fucking brisket sandwiches and goat roti as part of the new concessions. Instead of just the old concessions, we've got a great lineup of concessions, leading off a brisket sandwich for $15. Like, what the fuck? This is what you're doing? I want to hear about this team. I'm going to invest 162 fucking nights watching this team. You're telling me about the fucking concessions for the game hasn't even started yet? And while you're eating your jumbo fucking hot dog, take a look over there. You can go sit on metal bleachers. And by the way, we expect fans to be there as soon as the game starts so they can rush up to these metal bleachers and sit and overlook the bullpen and then fucking spill beer on the opposing pitchers. Like, I'm watching this. They even had a countdown on the Jumbotron. Like, all the media was there. Every member of every piece of media, everything was, here's the unveiling. And they had this countdown on the Jumbotron. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then boom. And then they released this, I don't know, was it balloons or whatever the heck it was? It was like, here's the countdown to unveil whatever. Come on. And then, I can hardly wait to see the new, it was a blowjob for like 45 minutes. Okay. I mean, the fact that like you couldn't even weave some baseball stuff into this. Here's Mark Shapiro. It's like, what is Mark Shapiro thinking about the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays? What's he thinking? And he's like, I can hardly wait to see how the fans react to our 5 beer gardens, and especially our new feature this year. I would call it the Dalton Varsho of concessions. Now it's called, what's it called here? I had it written down. It's You Brew. It's called Walk Through Brew. It's a grab and go beer. Now, instead of worrying because the games are going so fast that you're going to miss any of the action, you can just get up from your seat and you can go up to the concourse and just grab a beer and swipe your card and be back in your seat before the inning is over instead of waiting in line. Isn't that a fabulous thing? Yes, but Mark, what about the Dalton Varsho and Kevin Kiermaier and the pitching staff? Well, we're super happy to tell them that there's brisket sandwiches now available in the Blue Jays clubhouse, just like the ones the fans are going to buy. It's going to be wonderful. We're going to have so many drunken kids up there eating Mary Brown's chicken, brisket sandwiches, goat roti, drinking beer, although not Budweiser, because, of course, they're supporting the LGBTQ plus community in the United States. Anyway, come on, man. I want to hear about baseball. Fucking before any fan has experienced it, you're saying, this is what you're in store for. So you're going to walk in and go, oh, ooh. I want you to walk in going, I can hardly wait to see this team play. Not, I can hardly wait to try the goat roti. For fuck's sake.
Though you can just in there. I'm not trying to defend them. It's all about making noise and PR. But you can watch this team play from the comforts of the comforts of.
It's going to be so, Mike. It's going to be so much more comfortable. Oh, I'm sure every fan that goes is just going to. Oh my God, it's just so much. No, it's just other places to drink. It's like this sponsored by you, and we're going to open that up. It's because after all these years, they decided let's spend a couple $100 million and like make it like a real ballpark. Like they can't do anything about the outside. Remember. You're still going to go in there in like a tunnel with the low ceilings, and you're still going to emerge to see, and they want people to walk around like at other stadiums. Get up and walk around.
Right.
That way, when you're coming back to your seat in the middle of an inning and people have to stand up and get out of the way, and you're going, I was at the concession stand. I got goat roti. I got brisket. I got a matzo ball soup. Look at this. I got matzo ball soup and sushi. And here I am sitting back down at my seat. I got to get up to go to the bathroom in about a half an inning. But so that's what's going to happen. You're going to turn into a place that's going to be like a fucking museum. By the way, I'm trying to sit and watch the game. Oh, I'm sorry, but I've got to go. I have to go over there, section 321. That's where they got the free beer. And over
you know what it reminds me of, Hebsy? When you remember, like, it's all of a sudden airports turned into malls.
Exactly. But the difference is that you're not sitting watching the tarmac,
right.
okay? You're sitting watching a game. And like
Right.
when me and Greg Brady went to Comerica Park last year, like we spent half the time. We weren't that interested in the game. We didn't really care between Detroit and Chicago. We spent half the time walking around the concourse. Oh, there's the Ernie Harwell statue. Oh, there's the Al Kaline statue. Take a picture of me over there. What kind of food is that? Like, yeah, that's what they're trying. Come for the experience. And if the team wins, great. And if they don't win, it's okay. At least you came.
Got to sell some jerseys along with that overpriced beer.
You got it. So yeah, the games are now running like 2.5 hours, like 2 hours and 20 minutes, 2 hours and 8 minutes. There was a game the other 157.
Good.
Okay. I mean, I look at the time of game before I look at the final score now. So the question is, how much of a risk are you going to take by leaving your seat and going to the concession stands? Are they going to have more vendors in the stands so you don't get up and bother other people and you get your food there? Or is it just going to be mass people getting up, going, grabbing a beer, coming back, waiting in line? Oh, I missed 3 innings. I've only been gone for 15 minutes. Yeah, well, you missed 3 innings. It's a fast game. Oh, wait a second. Nope, sorry, you missed 3 innings. It's the 9th already?
Fire
or even
beware.
better, like because the games are like zipping by. Like the post-game show is now, hi, Joe Siddle and Jamie Campbell. We'll be with you for the next hour and 45 minutes to wrap this one up. But first, we're going to go back to Ken and Ivanka. Then we're going to go over to Shy. Now who do we got? We got Arden and we got Ben Nicholson-Smith in Kansas City. Okay. And we got and there's Buck and there's Dan, and now back to Jamie and Joe for more analysis, more post-game. Here's the interview with, the John Schneider interview, the clips from Bo. That's beautiful. They can spend so much time on the pre and the post-game show now because the games are over in no time. Like that. You can see people count on a 3-hour game. Imagine all the wives, okay? Their honey's, he's going to be tied up for the next 3 hours. I can go off and do whatever the fuck I want. Now it's like, 2 hours and 6 minutes. Honey, what? I got to get home. Game's over already? What the hell? You talk about timing. You talk about people's routine. Mike, these games are going to be over so fast. It's nothing. There's going to be gaps in programming, right? Can you take it to the top of the hour? Jesus Christ, it's 7 minutes after the hour. Yeah, but we thought the game would be over by whatever. Anyway.
But I assume you're happy with this. I mean, they were too long. Games were too long. Like, I like a 2.5. That's why I like
too short now. Too short now. They're too short.
But 2.5 sounds like a
No, it's not 2.5. It's 2:01, 2:08.
Well, what's the average? What's the average? Do you know? Do you have these numbers in
less
front
than
of you?
2:30?
Okay,
I'm just telling you, it's too fast. They've done too much. It's like I told you about spring. There's no spring anymore. It goes right from winter to summer. It goes from 11 degrees to 25. With baseball, it's the same
Mother
thing.
Nature.
It's the same thing. Like, what happened? Where's the gradual? I don't know.
All right. Well, you got to find.
You can't go from 3 hours to 2 hours. That's nuts. You go from 3 hours to 2:42. You get 2:30. I guess now 2:01 to 1:57. Game's over. Hi, we're stuck in traffic. Oh, it's the 5th inning, buddy. You missed the 5th. What? What are you talking about, man? It's 20-8. The game started half an hour ago. Oh yeah, we're in the 5th inning. Jesus.
Sounds glorious to me.
It's too fast. It's like if they took your favorite show and they cut it in half. The Sopranos is now half an hour. Go. But wait, it happened so fast. Anyway, like I said, home opener Tuesday against Detroit. Can't wait to see what the players look like at this new stadium. Okay, interested in the players. Let's talk some golf now. It's been, oh my God, an hour.
But Hebsy,
okay.
I know, but Hebsy,
So is
are
the
you
tournament over yet?
Are you at the home
tournament must be
opener?
over.
Are you going to the home opener?
Oh no, never.
But 46
Never.
years
The
ago.
worst game of the year. The worst game of the year.
Really? Oh, because the drunks?
Oh, just because of everything. Everything's all blown out of proportion. I want to go see baseball. I don't want to see I don't really care about the pomp and circumstance.
But you were not, there was no drinking allowed 46 years ago when you went
That's right.
First home.
Well, there was no legal drinking allowed. They didn't
That's what I
serve
mean.
alcohol in the stadium, but trust me, more people had it than didn't.
All right,
Okay.
so I'm gonna acknowledge it
Golf
was
opening
46
round of the
years
Masters
yesterday.
was spectacular, was great, was beautiful. The next couple of days, the weather's going to be horrible, they say. Rain already expected this morning. A bunch of guys have teed off. Brooks Koepka from the Live Tour, the Saudi Tour, is tied with PGA Tour stalwarts John Rahm and Victor Hovland at 7 under par 65 atop the leaderboard. Koepka has already teed off in the second round. And like the weather the next couple of days, holy jeez. They're expecting it's going to be like Noah's Ark, man. Like it's going to rain all day and all night, and who knows? Just unpredictable, except thunderstorms, lightning, high winds at any time. And they're even talking it might be a Monday finish, which they don't want to do that, man. But so expect delays if you're following the Masters. In the meantime, Mike, the Masters continues to be probably, I would say, the greatest, most lucrative sporting event in the world because it's only on for a week, right?
Right.
That's it. 1 week. They take in about $150 million. And you're thinking, well, that's a lot, but boy, shouldn't it be more? And the answer is, yeah, it should be more. But this is the beauty of the Masters. You cannot buy any Masters logo, the logo of the Masters, right? The flag over the United States, the yellow. You can only buy that stuff, any logoed stuff, at the Masters Pro Shop at Augusta National. You can't buy it online. You can't buy it any other place. You can't buy it at Walmart or whatever. And so when you see the lineups at Augusta, just never mind people who got tickets to go see it or walk the grounds. They're lined up. You'd think you were looking at a lineup at the Pearson Airport to get through customs, for fuck's sakes, man. Like these are people lined up because you can't buy this shit anywhere else with the Masters logo. I don't care if it's a keychain or if it's a suit of armor. That's branding. And so the Masters, what they do is they leave all this money on the table. They charge $2 for a sandwich, Mike. $2. How do you do that? It's because they're exclusive. All right. That's the beauty of it. That's the branding of it. All right. And when CBS, and I don't know how much money they pay for Masters rights, but it's a lot. They've had it forever. It is without a doubt. They're one of it's only for a week, but just the prestige of all of it is really something. I read a couple of articles about it, just how much money they can generate, the TV ratings and the exclusive sponsors and being able to, show nonstop action without doing split screen stuff or that kind of thing. And even the sponsors, the major sponsors, agreeing to only run a couple of minutes per hour. Like, where would you get that? If you're a title sponsor, say, I'm sorry, we're only going to put 4 minutes of commercials in every hour. 4. Okay. And you're going to have to accept that. And they're like, okay, all right. Because it's the Masters. And you got announcers. I mean, Jim Nantz is unbelievable at CBS, right? But, and he talks in such hushed tones. But the way he talks about Tiger Woods, it's not so much like he wasn't talking about Phil Mickelson, because Phil Mickelson's the Live Tour. He's not going on about Brooks Koepka. He's not going on about Bryson DeChambeau or Patrick Reed or even Cam Smith, former, Master champ, U.S. Open champ. He's not, because these guys that's the Live Tour. That's the enemy. Jim Nantz represents CBS. That's the PGA Tour. Come on. There's Tiger Woods. I can hear Jim Nantz's voice now. How brave, how courageous Tiger Woods is. Look at him with that limp, having to walk uphill and into the wind with that pronounced limp after crashing his car a few years ago because he fell asleep at the wheel. It was either drugs or alcohol. We're not sure, but geez, we didn't want to get into it with the coroner's office. Luckily, he's not dead.
I heard they almost amputated that leg.
No. Oh, yeah. Will people stop saying that he had his leg amputated? Shit like that? He didn't have his leg. He wasn't even close to having his leg amputated. He told you that. No other doctor that ever said anything about it. It was Tiger saying, "Oh, the doctor told me I'm lucky to keep my leg." Bullshit. And then of course, and now it's here's Tiger Woods for the media. Tiger, have you considered that with your health and everything, and this might be your last Masters tournament? I'm like, come on, is this the most beautiful softball question? Did Tiger go up to the guy and go, "Do me a favor, ask me if it's going to be my last tournament? Has it been perfect?" Right. The way he can control the narrative, and he loves this shit. So he's like, "Oh, my last tournament? Well, yeah, I thought about that. Maybe so." Headline, could be Tiger's last tournament. Oh, come on. He's like 47 years old, and he's saying this could be it. Fucking Sandy Lyle's out there at the age of 65 playing. Larry Mize is 64. Still goes out there. Right? And they're not even close to Tiger Woods. Come on.
Yeah, but they didn't almost get their leg amputated. Hebsy.
Oh, that's right. Okay. And the way they talk about it with such reverence, like he's a religious figure, like Saint Tiger. Look at look at Jim, look at the courage it must take to walk up a hill. All right. After almost having your leg amputated. Okay. You're not carrying your clubs. You're walking up a hill. And that takes courage. That takes guts. That's Tiger Woods. There you go. Please.
I love it.
Please.
For Craig here.
Listen, please. He's competitive. Oh, can he win? Win? Are you kidding? Look at him. He could barely walk. The man could barely walk. When he makes a birdie, it's like, oh my God, that's a miracle. The Tiger could make a birdie because he can hardly walk because he almost had his leg amputated.
Love it, Hebsy.
That's the Masters. And you don't think, hey, as much as everyone is rooting for the Leafs to go far in the playoffs, like at Rogers, the whole world wants to see Tiger Woods make the cut. Think about this. The guy is the fucking 6-time champion, whatever. He made the cut. This is like when the Montreal Canadiens win a round of hockey. And these new Habs fans are going, they won a round. We won one round. This is like Tiger making the cut. You're talking about multiple championships, and you're getting excited that he made the cut? Is that what this has come to? Oh, we hope Tiger makes the cut. We want to see Tiger on the weekend. No, nobody wants to see that. I don't want to see him limping home in last place, even if he makes the cut. I want to see the leaders. I want to see great golf.
Yeah. I'm gonna disagree with you right there. There are people like yours truly who won't tune in to CBS this entire weekend unless he finds out on Sunday that Tiger is actually.
You will, because there'll be more compelling stories than just Tiger. This is what you'll see. You'll see that there are some really good golfers and some personalities and a little bit of friction, maybe too. You know, maybe Sergio Garcia spits on the shoes.
There's a lot of me out there. There's a lot of guys.
But that's you.
Well, there's a lot of casual
fans
no. drawn in by
That's
Tiger.
you. That's you.
Yeah,
there's a big separation between a golf fan that would watch golf no matter what and a casual fan that's only interested to see Tiger only. But the other thing is, Mike, my thing is give yourself a little credit. It's possible, not likely with you, but possible that you could get caught up in the drama of the actual Masters, okay, in addition to watching what Tiger's doing. It's possible.
Anything's possible.
It's possible you go, oh my God, look at Corey Connors. I might have to watch. It's possible. That's all I'm saying.
It's possible.
By the way, Canadians, top Canadian, Mike Weir, the 2003 Masters champion, shot even par. Corey Connors finished at 1 over. Adam Svensson +3. Mackenzie Hughes +4. Connors was awesome last week in the Valero Texas Open. He won it. It was great. His wife and young child were there. It was beautiful. In tennis, no Canadians in action this weekend. Leila Annie Fernandez, hosted by Paulo Badosa in the second round of the Charleston Open. Charleston Open. On the men's side, neither Felix nor Shapiro in action this past week, both getting ready for the clay court season. The Monte Carlo Masters begins next week. I always wanted to go to that, not to see the tennis so much, just to go to Monte Carlo. I had an open invitation from Jody Scheckter. Jody Scheckter was a friend of mine way back when, 40 years ago, when I was calling the Grand Prix for the Canadian Grand Prix. And Jody Scheckter was the number 1 driver for Ferrari. Wow. Gilles Villeneuve, the late Gilles Villeneuve, was the number 2 driver. And Jody did not qualify. And I asked him if he would come up into the radio booth and call the races with us. And he said, sure. And he was awesome. But anyway, he says, anytime you're in Monte Carlo, you got a place to stay. And I never did. Oh. I never managed to get there. And probably too late now. I don't think he would remember. But anyway. Finally, you likely saw the brouhaha at the women's NCAA basketball championship last Monday night between LSU and Iowa. Mike, did you see that?
I was watching, but that was Sunday, I think.
It was Sunday or Monday?
Well, Monday was the men's final. I think the women's.
Right, you're right. The women's was Sunday. That's right. Iowa's Caitlin Clark made a "you can't see me" gesture. This is new to me. I'm not up on all the gestures, but. Okay, so you can't see me gesture a few times during the tournament, and trash talking, chirping, whatever you want to call it, engaging the opposition. What did I have written here? Trash talking, bat flipping, cap spinning, taunt chirping. Yeah, I like that. I happen to like that. It's different when you see women doing it. I'll be honest with you. You don't see it as often as with men, but it's pretty cool. Anyway, LSU ended up winning big. And as the time was winding down, the last few seconds, while they were counting down to victory, Angel Reese of LSU, great player, the tournament MVP, tracked down Clark on the court and taunted her with the same "you can't see me" gesture as her team was celebrating the victory.
Right.
Now, a lot of people came out and said, this is bad sportsmanship and this is a terrible thing to do. And others were, wait a second. The girl, she was doing it, didn't have any problem dishing it out. So what's the problem? And then it sort of turned into like a race war. In fact, I watched The Daily Show. Roy Wood Jr., the comedian, was a guest host, and he had a phenomenal and hysterical commentary on that very subject, saying basically that trash talk is good for sports. It is. We loved it when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson trash talked each other. We love that. He says the only thing is that you don't want it starting a race war. Like, you don't want it coming down to these two are yapping at each other and now, wait, one's black and one's white. Wait, right? Is this racial? And like both of them are like, Caitlin Clark is like, I was fine with the gesture. And like, what are you talking about? But people got so up in arms, right? The immediate response was, oh yeah, you think it's classless what Reese did, but take a look at what Clark did. And really all you had to do was go to the combatants. I mean, Caitlin Clark was like, no, I'm fine. I get it. If I'm going to trash talk, I got to be able to take it. I can dish it out. It's part of the game. Great. But everybody else, and I think I mentioned this to you before, Mike, there's a lot of people out there that they feel for other people. They think they know how others feel. And so they stand up for them immediately. They're not necessarily hurt by it, but they believe that someone will be hurt by it and they stand up. So people, it may not be a racial thing. People might say, hey, you can't say that. You're going to offend black people if you say that. And immediately it becomes this, oh, she's white, she's black, she did this, she did this. She was accused, obviously, by white people of doing it. And suddenly you've got yourself a race war, a trash talking race war. And I'm thinking, man, this is, imagine if these two go to the WNBA, which they will, and they're playing against each other. This is like Bird versus Magic. It started in college. One was white, one was black. It just happened to be a great fit. It was. And throughout their career, they were associated with each other. One happened to be black, one happened to be white. In this case here, you've got two females, one black, one's white. Both fantastic college players. Both are going to be superstars in the WNBA. How's that for a trajectory?
Now get us a franchise, Hebsy. Get one in Toronto.
Well,
I'm ready.
The best part of it, President Joe Biden's wife, Jill Biden,
right,
wanted, after seeing that exchange and great sportsmanship or that lack thereof, blah, 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 she suggested that the White House invite both LSU and Iowa to the White House because of what they did for women's college basketball, set unbelievable television ratings. And Angel Reese is like, no, like that's fucking stupid. No, why should they come? We beat them. We're the champions. So LSU will be the team going to Washington. Iowa, no.
But I'm with you that it has been racialized, which is unfortunate. And because, the optics of these teams, I watched a lot of this March Madness, Women's March Madness, and was thoroughly entertained. But Caitlin Clark was wildly prolific, like fantastic. But that Iowa team was super fucking white, okay? Like a very white team, just optically. And of course...
But wait a second, though. But come on, all right? What? You're talking about Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa. I'm not saying no.
It's Iowa. It's not.
No.
LSU is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah, but that's not my point.
I'm going to bet you.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet you that the population of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, is percentage-wise, are way more blacks. It's much more mixed than it would be in freaking Cedar Rapids, Ames, Iowa. Where's the University of Iowa? I'm trying to think. Des Moines.
Oh no, but I don't care that.
No, but Mike, just the way you said it.
Yeah.
Just the way you said it.
No, it's a very white team.
Is racist. Just the way you said it.
How so? Explain.
They're so white. What if you were to say they're so black?
Meaning that the number of players on the court of their
Mike,
are more racialized on LSU than what's that?
LSU team was all black, weren't they?
Mostly, yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
but that's what I'm saying. This is my point. This is why the racists are going to racist, right? I believe this is why there was this double standard with Angel and Caitlin, because there is systemic racism, and even people might not even be conscious of the fact that they have an issue with Angel doing this. Yeah. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is, chirping the whole tournament, right? Because it's very competitive. But the optics were that
why did Angel follow her around as if, winning the initial thing was,
the
wait
ring.
a minute, she rubbed it in. Like there's chirping and then there's rubbing it in. Rubbing it in would be you're going to win anyway. And as the clock is ticking down, you're following the girl and you're showing the thing. And so at that time, okay, it was over the top. Fine. But was it so unsportsmanlike compared to what Caitlin Clark did? No. Because had Caitlin Clark never done a thing, never made the gesture, nothing. And then this girl went after her, that would be classless and unsportsmanlike. But I mean, you got to be able to dish it out. You got to be able to take it if you can dish it out. And I'm sure Caitlin Clark did not think after she did that she was going to be exempt from any of it.
My point is, this is a non-story except for the fact that it's all been racialized because this is my point. If
no. If they were both black or they were both white and they were like chirping each other to that point where one chased the other one down at the end, you would see something of it.
Nothing like this. Like
you don't know that.
I don't.
You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know that, Mike. You're just speculating.
No, we can all,
Mike, you know as well as I do that every white supremacist, if he saw two black women doing that to each other on the court, okay, could easily start just as much, a controversy, etc., as a white versus a black. Any white racist could do it. Anyone. And by the same token, if it was two white women doing that to each other, I'm sure that there might be some, the blacks. It's just the way people are. And you're talking about social media where it's super easy for
but I don't think we're talking about it now. Like, I don't think this is a Hebsy on sports discussion at the end of this conversation.
Well, guess what?
If it's not a black woman doing that to a white woman. That's what I'm just saying. I think that's why it became a big.
You're wrong. No, you're wrong. Because if cameras caught it and there was a controversy about it, okay, I don't care if it's two hockey players or two women's basketball players. We always show it. We always show people that are going to fight or argue. We do it all the time.
Yeah, but a week, many days later.
Mike, my show was last Friday.
Yeah, I know. I don't think it
hadn't happened yet, Mike. Okay?
I don't think competitive taunting makes the cut if it wasn't the big blow up because it was a black woman doing it to a white woman.
That's your opinion.
I know. That's all I got, though.
And you're entitled to it. And with that, oh my God, we've run over our allotted time. Okay. Join the following program already in progress after this edition of Hebsy on Sports. That's it for the show. Episode 328. Hope you enjoyed it. Good Friday. Happy Passover, Ramadan, whatever you're acknowledging, celebrating, commemorating. Have a great weekend. Thanks to Toronto Mike for production and inspiration. Hit him up at Toronto Mike and listen to his excellent podcast. Thanks for allowing us into your headspace. Have a sensational weekend. We appreciate you listening. Tell your friends, tell your family. We'll be back with another exciting episode of Hebsy on Sports next week. Until then, so long for now.